Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? The runners have just started. This is an exhibition match since one of our runners, unfortunately, was unable to make it today. But we're glad to be able to bring you what will hopefully be a close race between nextgengamer9 and Boxmeister. So Metroid Fusion is a game that's heavily platform-based, and there's lots of technical movement, as we've already seen. Lots of wall jumping between the players and shot cancels. So shot cancels are when you go slightly above a platform, you'll fire off a shot, which will halt your vertical movement and be able to get you on the platform with as minimal movement as possible, since moving in the air is a lot slower than moving on the ground. As we've already seen three times, this game is heavily text-based, which is why we prioritize running Japanese where possible, since the Japanese version of the game saves 3 minutes over the English version on text alone. So we have our runners heading up towards the first data room, where they will get the first major missile upgrade of the game. Well, the regular missiles. Next Gen's struggling to get through the room with the ghoul in the way. All right. So now that they're about to get missiles, we will very shortly see the first bit of RNG in the run in about a minute or so, little more. So RNG, the random number generator, plays a big part in Metroid Fusion, more so than the majority of the other Metroids. There's a lot of factors that come into play that the runners will, or possibly in some situations, will have no control over. One of the examples is the eye door, in which the eye door can fire anywhere from 0 to 4 beams before it opens its eye once. You find eye doors before bosses, and to be able to make up for the extra beams, the runners will hopefully try to attempt to fire 2 missiles into the double's eye at once, which will do 2 damage and reduce the overall number of beams that the runner can receive. This will also be similar to the core X's that each boss turns into upon its defeat. So we see Boxmeister getting 1 beam and his attempts to do the double. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it. Oh, next and missing a cycle entirely. Into Arachnus, and even Arachnus has some RNG. Whether Arachnus rolls or not is RNG dependent, and we can see that roll. So he'll be getting the quick kill on the Arachnus. So we can see Next Gen got the roll, so he'll be losing a little bit of time here. So about doubles, you can also fire 2 missiles into the square hitbox the core has, though it looks circular, and it'll do 2 damage. And that'll also hasten up the core fight by about 3 seconds. We can see Next Gen just got the double. Not quite sure what happened to the other runner. So once again, this is just an exhibition match between these two runners. So shortly, we will be coming across the main deck missile, which Boxmeister is hitting up right now. The runners will have the choice of whether to pick it up or not. Picking it up will become beneficial to them later on in Sector 1 and against one of the late game bosses. So Sector 1, which is where Box is heading right now, is all about conserving your health and conserving your missile count. There are lots of enemies which can hurt you, but the issue is if you're not at full health, you're not guaranteed to get missile drops. And missile drops are very key in Sector 1, where if you don't grab the main deck missile, you might end up running out and you'll end up having to farm right before the eye door. Fortunately, they both grab the main deck missile, so while they still may run out, it'll be less likely. You see our good friend the SAX on next gen screen, the main antagonist featured in Metroid Fusion. So with both runners either heading to or in Sector 1, we'll find out that the main goal of Sector 1 is to free Sector 1's atmospheric stabilizers from the control of the X-parasites. So Box is struggling a little with it, so he might not get quite as many missile drops as Next Gen might get. So he'll need to be a little careful. So now we have the pirate room for Box. There can be a random number of pirates on the wall. And so you need to account for how many pirates may or may not be there and fire missiles accordingly. Runners are doing pretty well with missile counts right now, so I don't think we'll be seeing any farming from them. Next Gen struggling through the pirate room. Oh, Box. Alright, so the goal where Box is to have 3 missiles, and he has 5, so he'll have a few extra in case he misses 1 or 2 on the eye door. Next Gen will hopefully get a few missile drops from this pirate room that he's in now, but it looks like he's only getting health drops so far. Oof. But he's got more than enough for the eye door. Alright, doesn't look like Box got the double on the eye door. And now we get introduced to our beam core bosses. So you can also get doubles on the beam cores, but it's a lot harder. And we see Box going for what we call the sweet spot. Upon being defeated, the cores will drop the items. Box just picked up the charge beam, which I'll talk about shortly. So I believe it is if the items spawn or move over their end location, the runners can pick them up immediately. So what the runners will try to do is try to you can see NextGen just got the sweet spot himself. They will try to bait the core right onto their end, pick up the item immediately. So the charge beam is pretty much the major item that they'll be using to destroy a lot of the enemies throughout the game. There are 3 hitboxes for the charge beam. There's the top half of the charge beam and the bottom half of the charge beam. And then there's kind of a point blank. So if you hit it point blank, you'll do an additional 6 damage, but each of the halves of the charge beam do 10 damage apiece, for a total of 26 damage. We'll be seeing usage of the charge beam to quickly take care of a few of the bosses. In particular, the boss of Sector 4, which we'll be seeing not too long from now, Ceres, will be taken out in hopefully 2 shots. Now that both of our runners are done with Sector 1, they'll be heading off to the dangerous Sector 2. Sector 2 is quite perhaps the most volatile of sectors in the early game. There are Zoros, which lie within, which can do 45 damage, and when our runners only have 1 E-tank, that only gives you 5 hits. Less if you're not at full health entering the sector. So you'll need to make sure you're really, really careful and utilize your charge beam to your fullest. So very, very recently, Boxmeister himself had an excellent race against one of the runners, Phazon Knight, and their race was within seconds of each other, and it was back and forth for the entirety of the race. So hopefully we'll be able to see something similar, because the runners are very close together right now. All right, so box entering Sector 2 proper. We can see that the Zoros have already manifested. Look at all the red caterpillar thingies. Like I said, they do 45 damage. It can quickly dispel all of your health. Box takes a hit. So, Boxmeister has just unlocked the level 1 locks. So there were 4 hidden lock locations in which the game will unfortunately not tell you about, in which the players will attempt to find throughout various parts of the game. They will, as many of you probably suspect, unlock their respective level doors. In this case, level 1 is blue. This lets you reach where Boxmeister currently is, as he is about to obtain the bombs. The bombs, Metroid Fusion, are a very, very bad upgrade. They take forever to go off, and that unfortunately prevents any forms of sequence breaking. Boxmeister got a good pattern there with the location of the Zoro, and NextGen's just picking up bombs himself. Alright, so it looks like both players got the good pattern. So very, very shortly from both of our players, we'll be coming across the second major boss. Zazaby's very, very interesting boss to talk about, since Zazaby has been known to frustrate all of our players. So Zazaby is a boss that jumps around and can jump anywhere from 3 to 12 times. Obviously, the higher number you get, the more time you're not saving. Or, I guess, the better way to phrase that would be the less time you're saving. But this will be the perfect opportunity for Next Gen to take the lead if Next Gen is met with 3 jumps and Box is met with 12. So Boxmeister opts to pick up the Zazaby E-Tank, since it doesn't lose too much time and gets... no beams from the eye door, so that'll save him a bit. Next Gen also opts to pick it up. And Next Gen being caught with that RNG from the eye door. So it looks like Box had a 7. Oh no! 7 jump, but he didn't finish off the cycle. So that ended up being 10 jumps. Box gets the nice double on Zazaby. The double-double. And Next Gen gets to save a little bit of time here. With... I want to say they had similar RNG with the Zazaby. But Next Gen didn't quite miss the Zazaby cycle. Alright, 1 double from Next Gen. Box is now coming up to the SAX room, where we have our first meeting head-to-head with the SAX. You can't, in fact, skip the SAX. However, I don't think we'll be seeing that from any of our runners today. I imagine they'll just wait for the SAX, like Box just did. If the runners start running about the time the SAX shoots the door, they should be fine. Boxmeister choosing with right side strats. They say right slide is not optimal for a human. Next Gen opting to take left side strats, so you'll be saving a little bit of time over Box. Alright, so now that our runners have completed Sector 2's first segment, they will be making their way over to Sector 4 and their attempt to fight Ceres, a boss that I mentioned earlier on. So Ceres is a water journey to speed their way around the room. That's pretty much all Ceres does, is just run around the room at lightning speeds. Sector 4 is a sector which has amazing movement. They will be utilizing mixtures of pseudo screw attack, charge beam, possibly even missiles to be able to kill their enemies and not stop moving. So, as mentioned in chat, there has actually been a new Ceres strat discovered which we might see from one of our runners today. It involves instead of clinging to the top of the room, like most of the runners do, you stand on the ground at the start of the Ceres fight, Box taking a dip. So you stand on the ground before the fight, and what you'll do is you'll jump up and shoot Ceres, which will save possibly half a second to a second, because it will cause Ceres to initiate its ultra-fast movement, state of invulnerability, quicker, which results in its ending of its invulnerability faster as well. That'll let you kill it earlier. Yes, it only saves about a second, but it has very, very, very large amounts of swag to it. So we see Ceres' skeleton, which makes me wonder just what happened to our little dragon friend. And we'll be seeing in just a moment. Alright, so it looks like Boxmeister is going for traditional strats on the Serpent. And it looks like he was able to hit hit Ceres with all 3 parts of the charge beam. Second cycle was a bit perfect first shot. So this may be a time for Next Gen to take the lead. Perfect fight by Next Gen. Nice 2-shot. And Box also finishes up Ceres in a slower manner. And Next Gen got the sweet spot. Box takes a dip into the water, so that'll cost him a little bit of time. Now we'll be seeing an attempt at a low height from Next Gen. Now they'll be making their way over to the control system for the water, where they will lower the water level, enabling them to leave the sector. Now, Next Gen's going to attempt... he has 2 options here. He goes for the horizontal. You can go for the diagonal, which is... it's a little slower if you know how to do the optimal. But we see Box go for the diagonal. Like I said, it's a little slower if you know the precise amount of space you need for setting up the low height that Boxmeister unfortunately missed. So now that they've obtained the speed booster upgrades, we'll be seeing that they will be storing shine charges, pretty much leaving every sector. That way they can spark out of the sector and save just a little bit of time. It'll also make the time it takes to run from sector to sector a lot quicker. They're now being told of how they can't literally use this data room in Sector 4 since it's locked by level 4 locks, and it wouldn't be smart to unlock those. So instead, we're going to head over to Sector 3, where we can use the data room there. Sector 3 is the one part of the game where you obtain an upgrade before you fight the boss. the boss of Sector 3 is the security robot Box. However, turns out level 2 locks are preventing access to the data room, so we will need to go find where those are. Fortunately, our runners have played this game just enough times to know precisely where that is. And with level 2 locks unlocked, Next Gen will be able to go make his way to the data room. With unlocking those locks, he also adds enemies to the sector. So he'll need to be wary of all of the new enemies that have spawned. So we might see Next Gen go for a Shine Break here, which is a 2-frame trick, I want to say. But what it does is it lets you break the Speed Booster block and keep your Shine Spark, which will let you do a vertical spark in the room that Next Gen just went through. Unfortunately, Box missed it as well. Now we'll be seeing an attempted data spark here in just a second as they collect the second missile upgrade, the super missiles. They sound pretty super, and they, in one way you can say they do triple damage, but they have a longer cooldown and move a little faster. But they're very satisfying since they make the screen shake upon hitting an enemy with one. As a result of longer cooldowns and faster move speeds, doubles on the cores will become harder. Let's see how Next Gen does against the security robot. That's unfortunate for Next Gen. It wasn't too terrible of a fight, but he killed the Box far to the left, so he needs to wait for it to go all the way to the right. Let's see how Box does against the Box. Oh boy, Box is struggling against the Box. I feel like we've seen this before. But he won't have to wait quite as long as Next Gen did, I don't think. Alright. So our runners want 3 missiles or more leaving Sector 3 since they will be heading to Sector 6. And there is an enemy, kind of like a wall type thingy, I'm not sure what they're called. But they require 3 super missiles to kill, and they cannot be killed any other way. Well, they can use a Shine Spark to deal with it, but that's a lot slower. Fortunately, our runners have enough missiles, so they won't have any trouble dealing with it. So Sector 6 is the nocturnal sector. As implied by the word, it's a sector of darkness. And the main mechanic in Sector 6 is our players will be attempting to obtain the Variasuit so that they may head to Sector 5. But unfortunately, some of these Ice X have made it into Sector 6 as well. So they will need to maneuver around the Sector 6's Ice X to prevent them from taking over 60 damage for each Ice X they come in contact with. Fortunately, in the circumstances where they do take a few hits, there is an E-Tank midway through the sector that they will be grabbing because it doesn't lose more than a quarter of a second. They preemptively place a bomb, as seen by Next Gen, because there's a missile tank behind that wall and they'll want to grab it later on. Alright. So in just a moment here, Next Gen will be coming across the second meeting with the Sax. And do for this Sax, unlike the Sector 2 Sax, which is very, very dangerous to attempt. What we'll be seeing from Next Gen is he will wait for the Sax to move about 2 steps after the power bomb goes off. After that, he will jump up, shoot the Sax, and the Sax will run to the left and jump over Next Gen, allowing him free reign to do whatever the hell he wants. In this case, he will be... Oh no, Next Gen. Okay, he's fine. Alright, so he gets it pretty nicely. And he'll be making it to the boss of Sector 6 without much worry. Now we'll see Boxmeister wait for the Sax to fire a shot before doing the same thing. So the boss of Sector 6 is the Megacore X. It's pretty much just the normal X core, nothing really special about it, that has absorbed the barrier data, as we can see on Next Gen screen. Optimally, they will want to fire 4 charge beams, have all 3 parts of it go straight into the center of the Megacore, and will send it directly into its regular core phase. Next Gen let the Megacore get away from him, but he was able to finish the battle just fine. Now I'll be seeing this from Box as well, whether he can force cycle the Megacore. Alright, nice fight by Box. Next Gen getting the sweet spot on the core. Box is going to catch up with a few doubles of his own. He might just get the triple-double here. Ah, sick fight. Triple-double plus the sweet spot. I love it. Now with their new suit, they'll be able to absorb all of the Ice X's in the universe for 30 health apiece. I do not fear you, Blue X. You should fear me. So now Next Gen's going to be picking up the missile from the bomb hole he created earlier in the run. Runners will, at the end of the run, want to have 45 missiles. Or for the fight with Metroid. There were a few missile tanks that the runners have the option of picking up. I've seen various runners skip the main deck missile. I've seen various runners skip the Genesis missile as well. The missile that they'll be seeing. We still have a ways to go before we get to that missile. But now they will be heading to Sector 5 and the ice missiles, the third missile upgrade. So hopefully none of our runners will get lost in Sector 5. Sector 5 is pretty much a maze. Unfortunately, the ice missile upgrade, though can be beneficial at times, is primarily a downgrade than it is an upgrade. It increases the damage of the missiles from 45 to 50, I want to say. I'm not entirely sure. It might be 30 to 35. Either way. It prevents you from killing enemies, and instead, when you would ordinarily kill an enemy, it would freeze them instead. And just like our previous super, getting ice missiles increases the cooldown, thus letting you fire less missiles a second, and making it even harder to double the cores. Sector 5 is also a sector where you can take lots of damage, but with all of the free-floating blue X, it shouldn't be too hard for them to just pick them up if they really need them and get through the area just fine. It looks like Next Gen came across some trouble and has to re-enter the room to set up the speed boost again, giving Box the opportunity to take the lead. So just like with Sectors 2 and Sector 3, the data room is locked off by a yellow door. So they need to head to where Box is now and unlock level 3 locks. Now, with level 3 locks unlocked, they'll be able to hit up the data room and get the third missile upgrade, the ice missile. So, no one pulled the secret key here, fortunately. So they will all be able to leave the sector, knowing they got what they came for. Alright, so there are two main ways upon leaving Sector 5 to tell, for the first time, to tell if you for. The first is, as we can see on Box's screen, a shadow in the background of the screen. If you don't see that, it means you forgot something important. The second, we'll be seeing in about a second here, but flashing red lights and an AI computer telling us that there is an emergency over located in Franker Z. So our runners are going to head over to Franker Z and deal with this emergency. Apparently the sector will melt down soon, and the runners only have 6 minutes to get over there and fix it. So they'll be heading over to the main boiler room.
to main boiler explosion.
All right, so Sector 3 is an area where you can tell precisely how well or how poorly you're doing, since there's an in-game timer in the top right telling you just how well or just how poorly you're doing, as I said. This is really, really, really cool in a race, since you can compare the runners to each other. And you can see just how much time a runner is saving or losing as compared to the other runner. Right now, regarding this segment, the runners are doing about equally. And they're only, I'd say, 10-15 seconds apart at most. I'd honestly guess that they're probably not even that far apart. Yeah, they're only about 5 seconds apart. Oh no, Box. Getting stuck there and having to lay a bomb. Oh, this gives Next Gen the perfect opportunity. Actually, yeah, Next Gen's taking the lead. Oh, but while Box doesn't get the correct freeze, I mean, while Next Gen doesn't get it, Box does. Box takes the lead once again. Now they are both fighting the core. Yeah, wide beam core. And hopefully the wide beam core. Box gets the wide beam core wide beam. And we see Next Gen grabbing it as well. A 419 from Box. And a 417 from Next Gen. So it looks like Box had the better section here. So wide beam is a very frustrating weapon to deal with, because though it does more damage, we'll be seeing shortly at the start of the gauntlet just how its aim actually works. Because it's possible, like, you'll shoot a block and it just won't disappear because of how the wide beam works. All right. With the wide beam in hand, our runners will now head up to save the animals. That's right. All these speedruns that Super Metroid claims to have, they're all false. They're all lies. Saving the animals is true canon, which means any complete run of Super Metroid is non-canon. Now, unfortunately, the animal segment can be quite frustrating, since it's another opportunity for the game to throw RNG at you. The game had some... Well, I guess... The animals can be very frustrating. The animals can come out however long they want. They can be like 5 seconds, they can be like 10 seconds. There's really nothing you can do about it. I'm not sure if there's manipulation for it. But if there is, I doubt it's possible by a human. And Box will be going for a Shine Break. He does the setup. And that'll let him do what you were about to see. It's a much faster way of doing the room. Fortunately, we didn't see impossible strat from the runners. But it loses you time if you screw it up. Jen fails the setup. He starts a little bit. Okay, he gets it second try. Now Box will be heading over to power bombs located back in Sector 5. Next gen with good animals RNG. So hopefully our runners won't head back to the yellow doors, since they've already unlocked them, and instead they will go straight to power bombs. So I mentioned this a little while ago, but after obtaining power bombs, you begin the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is a large section of the game where you pretty much fight boss after boss after boss without breaks. No data rooms, no anything. You have a little bit of movement, but it basically goes Yakuza, Netori, and then Nightmare. It's a very dangerous segment, since Yakuza is another boss, which can give you very, very poor RNG. And the other two are all about just how well you can fire off missiles, how well you can manipulate them, and how well you know the fights. Next gen struggling to take the elevator down to Sector 5. And Box does not get the Shine Spark. Let's see if Next Gen gets the Sector 5 Shine Spark. Nice. Aw, he jumped and didn't quite get it. You do want to jump there, so you don't jump, spark into the wall. But it looks like Nexon was just a little bit slow there. With power bombs in head, Boxmeister's going up against his penultimate encounter with the SAX before he's ready to take it head on. You don't actually see the SAX, but you can see it fire its ice missiles. I mean the ice beam. Wonder if Boxmeister will go for the Kadoom strat. Nah, traditional ways are always the best. Next Gen has no problem with the SAX. And we'll be taking a nice heal with the Red X. So it looks like our runners are around 20 seconds apart. And they are both just entering the gauntlet section of the game. So we finally reached the point where I can talk about the Genesis missile. Shortly, they'll be coming across Ridley's copy from Other M. And we can see the elevator just stopped. They will make their way through the depths of the main deck. And momentarily, we'll see all of the Genesis. So if you can make it through this room without getting hit by a Genesis, you'll be able to destroy all those speed booster blocks. And you'll be able to skip the missile. But if you get trolled and take a hit from the Genesis, and are unable to speed boost your way through the power bomb and end up getting an extra missile tank. Both of our runners are fine and do not need to pick up the missile tank of RNG. So now Box is heading to Yakuza, as is Next Gen. So Yakuza, the massive spider, is another boss where RNG can show, and will very likely have an opportunity to change who's winning this race once again. Yakuza will open his mouth at the start of the fight, and we will see the runners utilize this by firing a charge beam and lots of missiles. After that, you'll need to wait up to 4 cycles for the Yakuza to open its mouth once again. If it's 4 cycles on Box and 1 cycle on Next Gen most likely will take the lead here, considering they are just seconds apart. But if Box gets the 1 cycle and Next Gen gets the 4 cycle, it'll put Next Gen further behind. Then you also have the second phase of the fight, where Yakuza shows off its awesome space jump around the room. Well, you can clearly see Next Gen got the RNG here, and go straight into the space jump portion of the game. Where, like I mentioned, Yakuza will run around the room, and you will fire missiles or charge beam shots at it until it turns pink and eventually defeat it. This has been a close race from the start. I'm glad I'm here to commentate it. So, Next Gen obtains the space jump with a nice sweet spot. And will now be turning on the backup power, enabling save points, navigation rooms, and doors. Well, not doors, but save points and navigation. rooms. Some doors will be open, the level 0 locked doors. So with proper maneuvering, our runners hopefully won't take any damage, making their way into Sector 2. The enemies in Sector 2 do over 100 damage, so they're very, very volatile. And now we have the last encounter with the SAX before you fight the SAX. It can be very, very dangerous, and you can take lots of damage if you don't complete the movement properly. But Next Gen does the segment well, and is ready to take on Sector 2. Oh, but Box took a hit. They're now both in Sector 2 proper, and will be making their way towards the second boss of the gauntlet, Netori. Netori is pretty much the damage check boss. Just keep firing missiles and keep placing power bombs and charge beams, and before you know it, Netori will be defeated. This is primarily the reason you want the extra missile tank, because it makes this fight a lot easier since you won't need to fire quite as many charge beams or power bombs. 48 shots, I believe, Netori has before it enters its plasma core state. Next Gen finishes the fight up quite nicely. Let's see if he goes for double on the plasma core. Did not get any doubles on the plasma core. But got the sweet boss. Ah, the sweet spot. Doesn't look like Fox got it either. Optimally, you'll want to get hit by the enemy after that vertical shine spark, and it'll save you just a little bit of time. But it's fairly tough. They'll now be ending their gauntlet up here with Nightmare. And there are two ways you can make it to Nightmare. There is the traditional Nightmare Shine Spark, where, similar to what Next Gen attempted to do, you'll be Shine Sparking across Sector 5. But there's also the option for them to do Nightmare Space Boost, which is extremely bold of them, and I don't think we'll be seeing that from anyone except Paulsmore. And if either of our runners are watching this, they will know just how close together they are. There is a backup for the Shine Spark if they miss it, but hopefully both of our runners will get it. So remember that shadow in the back of Sector 5 I mentioned earlier? Yeah, well, it's run amok and started destroying things. So let's go take it out, shall we? Next Gen gets redemption and nails that Sector 5 spark. The longest spark in the game. It looks like Boxmeister's done the same. It's so satisfying. Now, with all of this water, I believe there's an item we need to be able to properly move around. And Nightmare has a phase which prohibits your movement of space jumping and makes it a lot harder to get around the room. So I bet you can guess that your reward for beating him is the gravity suit. Next gen getting caught up with unfortunate RNG from the eye door. Box also getting bad RNG. So, Nightmare is a boss which is completely skill dependent. There is really no RNG involved. If you do the same movement every time, you'll get the same fight every time. Optimally, you'll want to kill Nightmare with 4 charge beams, 3 missiles. He'll go into the bottom right. And then you maneuver him kind of like Next Gen's doing. And he'll do what he just did and go straight to the center. It'll let you 2-cycle him and end the fight really quickly. But it looks like Box is not having quite as strong manipulation as Next Gen did. But both runners successfully completed the Nightmare fight and will be receiving their reward before too long. Next Gen is low on missiles. And Box is getting doubles galore. I would love to get Nightmare's mask. Personally. Next Gen with a nice horizontal shine spark, save him a little bit of time. He'll be entering Sector 4 for the second time. Did he get enough? He did. Wasn't sure if he had quite enough horizontal length to get that speed booster. And now they will be heading down into the depths of Sector 4 to be able to unlock level 4 locks. Alright, with level 4 locks unlocked, they will be able to make their way over to the last missile upgrade, the diffusion missiles. The diffusion missiles are the worst missile upgrade and only get used 4 or 5 times in the run. They have the longest cooldown, and getting doubles with diffusion missiles are extremely hard. Most notably is the next boss, the Wave Beam boss, the Xbox or Box 2. That is, it was taken control of by the X, the box robot from the sector, and obtained some new attacks. Doubling the wave core is so difficult that it's actually faster to not attempt doubles on that boss than it is to go for them and fail it. All right. With diffusion missiles, they are now finding out that the Xbox is running rampant in Sector 6. So they will need to go and, well, exterminate it. If there's something strange in your neighborhood, you're going to call the Samus Aran. Next gen showing off the R shot. So I didn't really explain this, but the R shot is pretty much exclusive to Metroid Fusion. It lets you move and pretty much do anything you normally would be doing, but still let you fire off a charge shot by just pressing R and swapping to your missiles. Warning, no entry without authorization. Oh boy.
No entry without authorization. Warning, no entry
It looks like Samus Aran is that something strange that we might call the box to deal with her. Let's see how Next Gen and Box do against Xbox. The evolved form of the original Box. It seems like Box actually had a faster fight. Box showing why he calls himself Boxmeister. Next gen, don't die. Okay, good. Oh no, it looks like... Did Box miss a cycle? I don't think so. He might have. Alright, so with Wave Beam,
warning, no entry without
they will be able to make their way into the restricted zone.
warning, no entry without
If you couldn't tell, they don't want you going in.
warning, no entry without authorization.
But just what lies within?
Warning, no entry without authorization. Warning, no entry without authorization.
Wait, what are Metroids doing in the wait, huh? Oh no, Next Gen. With...
Fire alert. This sector will soon be locked down.
Wonder how their escapes will be.
60 seconds to isolation lockdown.
Next Gen struggled there. Looks like Box is also struggling. Oh lord, 48 is something to be desired. What are Metroids doing in my Metroid game? Get out of here, you're not wanted. So, now they will be heading to obtain their last permanent major upgrade of the game, the Screw Attack, and they will have to fight a loud, screaming dragon. So I suggest you tune your sound down if you don't want your ears to be blown out. This dragon wants blood. they'll be showing usage of the diffusion beam throughout Sector 1. Ooh, a hidden E-tank. So now they will be fighting gold pirates. So gold pirates traditionally can only be killed when you are shooting them in the back, but in reality the game only checks to make sure you are looking in the opposite direction from them. So you can just turn around and watch as the beam goes straight through them and kills them. Two beams from next gen. One from box, and now they're both into the melee fight. Next gen with a pretty good Ridley fight. Box taking it a little slower. But next gen's grabbing screw attack at around the same time Box is starting the core fight. I mentioned this earlier, but doubles on any cores after getting ice diffusion missiles are really, really, really tough. So I'm hearing in chat that next gen's on PB pace. Really, really good run, so I can't say I'm too surprised. So unfortunately, we're almost at that part of the game where everyone ends up falling asleep because you have to sit through 1.5 minutes of text. So, I guess I can spend the time that they're going through Sector 1 and going through the cutscene, basically explaining that this run has been pretty back and forth. There have been quite a few lead changes. Box originally had the lead in the opening bit, but I believe dropped the lead next gen against Ceres. And next gen held the lead until, I want to say, early in Sector 5 when Boxmeister took it back. And held it... Yakuza, I want to say? No, Sector 3. Held it until the emergency section, where next gen momentarily for a few seconds took the lead before screwing up with freezing the side hopper before the eye door and falling down on his way out. Falling down in the main shaft of Sector 3 after defeating the core. He then took the lead with the one-cycle Yakuza. And though they've gotten fairly close to each other, both being in the same major cutscene section, next gen has been able to hold on to his lead. So as we go into the final section of the game, we have two major bosses left. We have the fight with the SAX and the fight with the Omega Metroid. Both are very volatile fights, and there are two different strats for taking out the SAX. You can either... there are actually three strats. There's the horizontal strat, where you will freeze the SAX and do horizontal charge shots, immediately followed by diffusion missiles, or there's the diagonal method where you do the exact same thing, but with diagonal shots. The longest, due to the way hitboxes work, the charge beam will be inside the SCX for a longer period of time, letting you beat the SCX faster with diagonal shots. You can also just do it the traditional way and just wait till it runs around the room, but that's a little bit slower. And it's also more dangerous. All right, next gen is going into the sax fight. Let's see what strategy he uses. The diagonal method. Oh, but he screws it up. He's now going for the horizontals, I imagine. Oh no, next gen. Be careful, next gen. Oh no, next gen. Box is able to successfully do the diagonal strat though. Oh wait. Okay, Box is fine. Now Box will hopefully 2-cycle the second phase. 3-cycle. And now Box will go for doubles on the ice core. A video was recently released about how to properly do these doubles on the ice core. So hopefully our runner's Box has watched it. It'll help him double the ice core. Hopefully we can get next gen in here to talk about his run for a moment. And next gen's just going to practice his fight against the SAX, while Box makes his way towards the final boss, the Omega Metroid. So Boxmeister is going for the last Shine Spark of the game, the low height. And he gets it. Sick. Shine Spark. And now he takes a heavy hit from the Omega. And it looks like he's been defeated, but the SAX shows up to combat the Omega Metroid in sound. With Ice Beam and a new suit in hand, Boxmeister faces off against the Omega Metroid, who apparently doesn't know how to attack. GG Box, congratulations on your victory. And thanks for putting out a fantastic exhibition race. Hopefully we can get both of the runners in here for an interview.
Hi.
How's it going, Boxmeister?
Holy moly, I'm so close to my PB.
How far off were you?
7 seconds.
Well, I want to thank you for putting on an awesome race. It was back and forth between you and next.
Yeah, on several occasions I looked at the race team also when I was going to watch the SCX fight, and I saw Next Gen ahead of me, so
Next Gen took a death to the SAX.
Oh, that's sad. Because I checked it through multiple times throughout the race, and we were within half a minute of one another at most of those times.
Yes. I want to say you had the lead until Saris, and then he took it from you, and then you took it back in early Sector 5, and then there were a few lead changes in Emergency, and then Next Gen kind of held the lead after Yakuza due to his one-cycle Yakuza until he died.
Yeah, I have my new strat for Yakuza, but unfortunately I had a 4-round, so there was not really anything I could do to make this fight faster.
No, there was nothing you could do about a 4-round. I could only watch as Next Gen took the for RNG.
Man, if I would have gotten a better Yakuza fight, I would have maybe PB'd, or at least real time, because my Indian time PB is not tied to my Japanese file.
Still, you put out a great race.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I've been sick all day. My lungs hurt like hell, and I'm playing like, well, you see, you can see my splits. I am over the entire run. I've never been more than 30 seconds behind my PB.
That's pretty good.
Amazing. So yeah, I'm overall pretty happy about this run. Needless to say, and I feel for Next Gen because he's saying that he was on PB pace as well.
Yeah, it looks like Next Gen was about 20 seconds ahead of his PB.
Oh wow.
So it's unfortunate that he took a death to the SAX, but it happens. Just gotta grind out the fight.
Shame, it was a great race.
It really was a great race.
And I read something about my intended opponent's power issues or something. I had a little bit of time somewhere in the run, so I read a little bit on that.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about that, but I do believe there will be more Fusion coming up later tonight. I believe there's another race between JC and Expired Your Ear on Speed Gaming 3 or Speed Gaming 4, one of the two. Let me go check that real quick.
I believe it was Speed Gaming 4, but I'm not completely sure. Let me get that for you. Speed Gaming 4, Xploud versus JC.
All right, so in just over an hour, we will be having another Fusion race. So if you're looking for another tournament race, head to Speed Gaming 4 in an hour.
Also, a 1.5 hour after that is Alfonso versus Yuri.
Yes, so there will be Fusion all night. So look forward to it. It doesn't look like Next Gen will be joining us for an interview, unfortunately.
Did he soft lock the thing, or?
I think he's just not playing, which is kind of funny because it looks like the SAX's second form just him.
This almost looks like a soft locked SAX.
I believe it's the SAX soft lock is only at the start or end of the fight with the second phase. I've never actually seen it happen.
Yeah, I think you have to hit it as it turns around or something like that. Never happened to me. I have to be honest here.
So yeah. I'm not quite sure what is coming up on Speed Gaming 1, but
again, I can help you with that. Let me check that real quick. Speed Gaming schedule. Friday. Fusion. It's the Key Sanity Link to the Past randomizer race or something?
Yes, the Link to the Past Key Sanity race starts at 6 and will go towards 8:30. But I'm going now. We have an Ori race, and looks like what's about to be the start of an X4 race on Speed Gaming 2 and Speed Gaming 4, respectively.
That's pretty nice content. Shoutouts to Fiesel for having the patience to wait for a match to happen.
Yes, thanks to Fiesel for being able to wait almost an hour for this race to start. And with that, I think both of us will bid you adieu for now.
Yeah.
Thanks to everyone for stopping by, and thanks to both Box and Next Gen for being willing to do an exhibition race.
I'll ask the admins what will happen in the tourney with the losers rounds.
Anyways. Ta-ta!
Ta-ta.